Now I like to start my sets out around the second week in April, around Good Friday, in seed trays. Now the reason for the trays is because I like to keep them in the greenhouse for a couple of weeks until they develop an inch or two of growth. That way, when you plant them in the ground, the birds don't peck at them. And you want to keep them moist but not soaking wet, and in about 3 weeks they should be ready to go out when you've got an inch or so of growth on top. When it comes to spacing, I'm going 6 inches apart here. In previous years I've gone as low as 3 or 4 inches. Now if you go a little bit bigger, that means when the weeds start to grow, you can fit the hoe in between and you can hoe the weeds out. If you go tighter, 3 or 4 inches, you'll have to go in and pick the weeds out by hand. And when it comes to bed preparation, this bed has had well rotted horse manure dug in over the winter, and that's packed full of nitrogen, which will help the onion grow in the first phase, which is to encourage the green growth of the green tops. I'm then adding some slow release fertiliser in the form of chicken pellets, and that will slowly seep down into the soil and give them another boost. So this tiny little plastic tub here has been enough for the whole bed there. When it comes to watering, what you've got to remember is there's 2 growing phases for the onion. There's the green tops and then there's the onion itself. Now what you want to do is grow the green tops to be as big as possible. The more shoots, the bigger the onion should be. You want to water until around the 3rd week in July, and then you should cut the watering, and that allows the bulb to swell. So in terms of watering, how much watering do they need? Well, what I tend to do is water once or twice a week if we've had a really hot week, and then obviously the rainwater will supplement that. They don't need much watering, but as I say, the 3rd week in July, stop watering altogether, and that should be enough. And during the growing season, I do it once a week. I weed in between, and you want a nice sharp hoe, so I use the Wolf Garden gear. They're really good. I do have a link below if you did want to check them out. And as I say, once a week in between the rows, that loosens the soil up, gets oxygen in the soil, and again helps them grow. And what I want to do now is just show you the difference between these onions here that went in at the back end of May to the onions that went in mid-April. The difference is quite big, and it's important if you want to get big onions, the timing of your planting. Now I put these in late, knowing that I might not get a big harvest. I'm hoping it might be, if they're a bit bigger than a golf ball, then I'll be quite happy with that. But I'm going to show you the other ones now that went in, as I say, mid-April, and that's the time I normally plant them, around Good Friday, maybe a week or 2 after. So you can probably see behind us straight away that the green tops are so much bigger. The thicker, there's more shoots, and more shoots means a bigger onion. You can see the bulbs are starting to swell already, and we're just getting into July. It's the end of June, and still a long time. I'll be harvesting these in September. So we're in mid-August now, and the vast majority of these onions have already tipped over, and you can tell when they're ready because they'll kind of fall, and the neck of the onion will be at an angle. That's different to being blown over in the wind, where the onion bulb and the onion top will be almost straight and the whole thing will be bent. But you can see here where it's just tipped over like that, the tops. So I always say when 3/4 of the onions have tipped over, I'll pull them up and just lay them flat on the soil. Now you've got to dry them for a couple of weeks because they'll only store well if they're dry, and if you've got a hot spell like we're getting, and most of the UK have had, you can leave them on the ground and leave them there for a couple of weeks. I turn mine every 4 or 5 days just so that the sun can get the whole of the onion, and they'll be good to go into storage. If rain is predicted, then you'll have to store them in a shed or a garage in some sort of rack, or you can hang them up and store them that way. But ideally, if you can get the sun on them, and obviously watch out for rain, and that's the best bet. So I've pulled these without damaging anything. I've kept the soil on them, And I'm really quite happy because, as you know, we planted these a little bit later than usual, and there's some really good sized onions. I think obviously the weather's helped a little bit with the sun. Really pleased. We've got a few smaller ones, but overall it's really good. I'm going to show you the other onion bed that I planted a month prior to this, and I'll just show you the difference because they've been sat in the sun now about a week and a half, and I just want you to see what you're aiming for in terms of the green tops. So you can see here a massive difference. Some of the tops are still a little bit green, but most of them are starting to go like this sort of colour. And you want them when you rustle paper, or rustle leaves rather, that's the type of colour and sound we're aiming for. So these will have another 7 to 10 days and they should be bone dry, and then we'll get them into storage. Now you can store your onions in Hessian sacks in a cold garage or shed. They keep well here on the table here, but obviously it's not very practical, so I like to hang mine up, and I find that's the best way to store my onions. And you want to check them every now and again to see if any have gone mouldy and then discard if they have. I hope you've enjoyed this video guys, and I hope to see you in the next one.